functions. Today we started with this warm-up. This warm-up is based on the learning that we did yesterday. So go ahead and hit pause. I'd like you to try to work these out. This is the part of the year when I start using my really fun phrases. So when we're simplifying, when in doubt, factor it out. You always want to factor. You want to factor the numerator and you want to factor the denominator. Not only do you want to factor, you want to remember those rules of factoring. You want to remember that we always look for that greatest common factor, hint for number 1, hint for number 2, hint for number 3. And then once we're done with that greatest common factor, we need to look at those and see if we can factor any further. Hint for number 1, hint for number 2, hint for number 3. So you're going to want to factor all of this. Once you get it into factored form, remember that the domain, when we're looking at a simplified rational expression, the domain is going to be all real numbers. We said that all rational expressions have all real numbers, but if we have a variable in the denominator, then we're going to have a domain restriction, meaning we're going to have a value of x where that graph does not exist. We're going to have an asymptote there. So for number 1, when you factor that denominator, you're going to want to set whatever factors with variables are not equal to 0 and figure out what that answer is so you can put that with it. So all real numbers such that x is not equal 0, whatever that is. So m cannot equal some number. I'm not going to tell you what it is, so go ahead and hit pause and do that now. Okay, so you should have seen that there was a common factor of 5 in the numerator, and when you get that, you can do box and diamond. I think you get you'll get m squared plus 3m plus 2. So the factors of 2 that add up to 3 are 2 and 1. So you end up with, let me see if I can get this, you end up with, after you find your big 1, you end up with 5 times m plus 2 over 5 times m plus 1. So this is an answer key that there we go. So this right here, this is saying that m cannot equal -2, okay? But it is all real numbers. For number 2, you should have gotten just 5 over 2, such that x cannot equal -1, but it is still all real numbers. And number 3 was x times 5x minus 4 over 2x plus 1, such that x cannot equal -1. Now remember this bolded r, it just means negative infinity to infinity, okay? It's just another way of doing it. When I'm writing it on paper, I typically just do this and connect the r. So it looks like 2 lines with an r. The line, it should not look like that because that means irrational. So you'd want the r to be connected like this. So this would be okay. There we go, I'm trying to make it better. Okay, so we talked about this yesterday in class, so I'm going to skip past that. We're going to multiply rational expressions. So I'd like you to get this in your notes. Hit pause. So this is the first step to multiplying rational expressions. The first thing you want to do is factor. Factor, 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 factor. When in doubt, factor it out. And then you want to apply that fundamental property. You want to find those big ones. You want to find the thing that is exactly the same on the top and the bottom. And then you want to multiply those remaining factors in the numerator and the remaining factors in the denominator. And then you want to leave that denominator in factored form. So you don't need to distribute or anything in the denominator. Just leave them in factored form. And then check your answer and make sure that the product is in the lowest terms. So this is as far as we got today. Go ahead and get this in your notes, hit pause. I hope you have a great night, and we will move on tomorrow.